And next, from the time that he first heard men marching to a cadence call, Eddie Wright had one dream in life, and that was to be a United States Marine. And as a Marine serving in Iraq, his company was ambushed in Fallujah. He was knocked out when a rocket-propelled grenade hit his Humvee. When he came to, he saw that both his hands were gone, and his leg was badly wounded. He couldn't fire his weapon, he could barely move, and he was bleeding to death. But he had the strength of mind to lead the men under his command, and that is exactly what he did. He kept them calm, he showed them how to stop the bleeding in his leg, and told them where to return fire. He had them call for support, and he got them out of there alive. His composure under fire that day earned him the Bronze Star with Valor device. But if you ask him, what did you get it for? He'll tell you, just for doing my job. After a long recovery, Eddie continued to serve as a martial arts instructor. He resigned from his beloved Marine Corps a few years ago, but he still lives by the motto, once a Marine, always a Marine. And if you want to see the American spirit of never retreating, no matter the odds, of steady confidence and optimism, no matter the setbacks, look at Eddie's story. No matter how tough times are, Americans always pull through. As Eddie put it himself, we don't really foster the attitude of I can't. When you have an obstacle in front of you, you just keep putting one foot in front of the other and focus on what you can. So please join me in honoring retired Marine Sergeant James Eddie Wright. And next, Tom Kirk. He was an Air Force squadron commander and a combat pilot who had flown over 150 missions in Korea and Vietnam. One day on routine mission over Hanoi, his plane was shot down. He spent the next 5.5 years in that living hell known as the Hanoi Hilton. Like his fellow prisoners, Tom endured the beatings, the torture, the hunger, the years of isolation. He described it saying, there was nothing to do, nothing to read, nothing to write. You had to just sit there in absolute boredom, loneliness, frustration, and fear. You had to live one day at a time because you had no idea how long you were going to be there. After 2 years of solitary confinement, pacing back and forth in his cell, 3.5 steps across, 3.5 steps deep, Tom was finally moved to a larger holding cell with 45 other Americans, these prisoners. Among them was a man named John McCain. In circumstances that defied description, this band of brothers, they kept each other alive, and one by one, they came home. Tom was released on March 14th, 1973. You might think that a man who had suffered so much for his country would be bitter and broken by it. But Tom's heart was only filled with love for America, that special love of country that we call patriotism. Tom wrote, patriotism has become for many a corny thing. For me, it is more important now than at any time in my life How wonderful it is to be an American, to come home. Friends, please join me in honoring retired Air Force Colonel Tom Kirk. My fellow Americans, each one of these men here today faced terrible sufferings, overwhelming setbacks, and impossible odds. And they endured, and their stories are America's story. We will always come through. We will never give up, and we shall endure, because we live by that moral strength that we call grace. Because though we've often skirted a precipice, a providential hand has always guided us to a better future. And I know that many of us today, we are worried about what we face. Sometimes our challenges, they just seem insurmountable. But here together at the crossroads of our history, may this day be the change point. Look around you, you're not alone. You are Americans. You have the same still spine and the moral courage of Washington and Lincoln and Martin Luther King. It is in you. It will sustain you as it sustained them. So with pride in the red, white, and blue, with gratitude to our men and women in uniform, let's stand together. Let's stand with honor. Let's restore America. God bless you and God bless America.